Assalamu alaikum and welcome to week 10 of the If I Were You show. My name is Fatimah J, your host. So, today's episode is a special one because we have a guest coming on. You might know her as the Halal Investing Mom, Maimuna, and she's going to teach us how to teach our children about money.
Alaikum salam, everyone.
Walaikum salam. It's like this is your Halal Investing Mom. Alhamdulillah, she's been on social media teaching people about investing for a very long time, mashallah, and halal investing, not just in Nigeria, but beyond the borders of Nigeria. So we're very excited to have you here. So before we even start talking about children and teaching them about kids, what brought you into investing and just wanting to share that knowledge with the public?
So Alhamdulillah, thank you for your question. For me, investing started because I had a parent who was very intentional. Would I use the word intentional? I don't know. Maybe she didn't even realize what she did. But my mother gave me a book when I turned 18. Over here in Nigeria, there's certain things you can't do until you're of age, more or less like for you to be able to operate it yourself. So things like that. So I read that book, and that was the changing point for me. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So that was the book my mother gave me. And my mom, I grew up seeing my mom make money. I wouldn't really call my mom an investor, but like my mom would, at a point in time, I know my mom sold gold and all, but my mom is a spender. She loves to buy things, so that's why I said I wouldn't call my mother an investor. But then again, she bought things that did have value. So she saw the book and she bought it because she knew I loved to read. So I guess it was the whole me loving to read that maybe motivated her buying that book. But that was the turning point for me. So I would say that yes, my parent actually, made the whole difference for me when it came to investing. So just like what you're having today, parents teaching your children about money and all, yeah. So in a weird way, that was how it started for me.
That's incredible because for one, I absolutely love Rich Dad Poor Dad, and two, it's like for your mom to teach you about that or introduce you to this world, and you also to continue that legacy going forward. It's just so incredible. So just
Yeah, because when I remember, I was just 18, so there were many things that I didn't understand previously in the book. But then again, there were things that just made sense. For instance, if I remember clearly, I think his wife wanted to buy a car at one point in time. And then I think he talked her out of it that why would you just go straight ahead to buy a liability, but rather find a way to get something that would fund that liability? Those basic things up till now, like I remember those. But then again, when I was reading at that time, cash flow, all those things didn't make sense then. It was subsequently when I was going, but this part of that book still sticks to my head, and I can remember that part.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It allows you to look at money in a very different way.
definitely, definitely.
Okay, great. So how would you say like you started introducing your kids to money?
Um, with my kids, I think savings. That was like the primary thing we started with. So piggy banks.
Okay.
My children have piggy banks. So from the moment I understood they knew what money was, like during Eid, because I don't give my children money at all, but during Eid, my children are gifted money that they get to receive themselves directly. In other instances, is maybe you, the parent, from the time maybe they were born, you get gifted cash, money for them and all, but they may not see it. But them coming across money, touching money, usually started during Eid periods.
Yeah.
So whenever they get gifted, I'd be like, okay, now we have a piggy bank. This is where we keep the money. So more or less teaching them that just because somebody gave you money doesn't mean they're telling you go and spend it right away.
Yeah.
So we started from saving that. Then when my son turned 8, I took him to the bank. It was just an experience I wanted him to have. Yeah, so we actually went with the piggy bank. We went with the piggy bank. We got to the bank. Then I explained to the banker that I'm trying to teach my son something, but we're here to open a bank account. So right there in the banking hall, my son opened it and I helped him. We counted the money, we separated them by denominator. It was just the experience I wanted him to have. I wanted him to be invested and involved in the process. And then we had the savings account opened for him. So he went through the whole project. And I noticed that just having him go through that, he was very willing whenever he had money, like to always go and put it in that piggy bank, because I told him we won't go to the bank all the time, but once our piggy bank is full, then we'll go to the bank and deposit the money. So that was like just the motivation that my son needed to just see it through. So my son started saving effortlessly, and then his sister after him too just took up from that. So I have 3 children, and each of them have their own piggy banks. So whenever our piggy banks are full, we remove the money, we count it. I really don't have time anymore. I haven't taken them to the bank anymore, but they know that this is what they have, and they know that it will always be deposited in their bank accounts. So I think that's how I started teaching. It started from then on. Then literature. If I find the age appropriate literature easy to understand. And then whenever over here in Nigeria, there have been a few asset management companies, I think trying to catch them young. So they usually organize workshops and all for children. So whenever those come up, I usually try to sign them up for it. This year during Children's Day, because here we celebrate Children's Day, it's on the 27th of May, so it's usually celebrated. And then one of these asset management companies that I just got to know this year actually organized something for children, and I took my children there. So it's just every opportunity that I get to teach them about money, I take advantage of it.
It's so commendable that you just don't do it through like talking and saying this is what this is, and you have like a whiteboard where you write all of those. It's like them actually immersing themselves in that, like going to the actual bank and going to these workshops that are being hosted. What are your kids' responses to it? Like, how do they feel about it? Do you know?
Well, yeah, for one, I've noticed that my children kind of delay gratification. That is something I think they have kind of imbibed in themselves. And then sometimes when my son asks for something and I'm like, oh, but you have the money. Are you going to buy it? And then he goes, oh, Mama, if I buy it, that's all my money. And I'm like, so it's a choice you have to make. So he already knows that it's not wise to carry all that one has and then put into something.
Yeah.
Just like that. So at his age, he's able to, kind of understand certain things. That's okay. I need to probably make better choices with my money and all.
That is probably one of the biggest gifts that someone can get, is to learn delayed gratification.
Definitely.
Because if you can master that, you would not just benefit yourself financially, but in so many other ways in the real world. So, wow, that's very impressive.
So with them, I'm just trying to do what nobody really did for me.
Yeah.
Because for me, halal investing has been a personal journey. Like, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody who I saw who was doing it that I could, even if they didn't know me one-on-one, at least somebody I could always copy. Or I didn't have that. It was just a lot of personal effort on my part. So it's something I have been very intentional about, even with my siblings, like trying to get them, because I started investing early, but there were a lot of things that I did not know. For instance, consistent investing is something that for like the first 10 years, maybe I wasn't very consistent. And it's because obviously my knowledge was limited. My background is law, not finance, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I started investing and it was conventional. It was along the line that I found that, okay, we're actually held to a higher standard. The Sharia holds to a higher standard than what I think. So it's not just because a company is, maybe, for instance, is a software company, it doesn't end there. But who are they offering their services to? Yeah. How is their income coming about, things like that. So in the beginning, it was just conventional. And I also started, funny enough, the same way with my kids. Whenever I'm gifted Eid money, and I'll pack all the money and then go and buy stocks. So that was how it started. If the barest minimum was, because then we had them called IPOs, initial public offers. So at that particular time, in I think 2006 or so, 2005, 2006, so we had a lot of IPOs going on then. So a lot of those companies were coming to the market for the first time.
Yeah.
So usually there was a minimum units required. So if the minimum was 500, I would just save up enough to buy the minimum because that's what I could afford.
Yeah.
And I would buy them. And also, I was buying banking stocks. It was just for me, I just felt okay, I was investing, growing my money the way I read it in the books
Yeah.
and things like that. So, because my journey was a personal journey,
Yeah.
I try to do right by those that I can. Like I said, my siblings. So
Yeah.
I have a sister in her early 20s. I have one that is just turning 20. And I made sure like I got them on that path earlier, and I've been able to tell them that consistency matters a lot, regardless of the amount. If it's
Yeah.
little, the more reason why. So I'm really, really trying to get them to create wealth for themselves before your 30s, like significant income before they turn 30. So with them, I'm being very intentional. So same with my son. I didn't wait until I could write it on the board. You know, I started with the little practices that I can do, the way they see me and their father treat money and things like that. So for me, it's been very intentional because I don't want them to have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hold their hands and help make it easier for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's interesting that you said that. Also, like not just what you're taking them and showing them the experience, but also kids learn a lot from behavior, right? So they're seeing you and their father interact with money, and they pick up on that as well.
Definitely.
So, um, kudos to you for that. What are like three things you would say parents need to do to set their kids up financially?
Three things. For one, you have to be the model. Because with children, what you show them is usually what it's just easier. It's a no-brainer. It's so
Yeah.
easy for them because they do what they see. So if you're not good with money, you need to fix that because your children will model you. Definitely, they would model you. So you need to fix that. And then on the financial aspect, I think from when you give birth to your children and people start giving you money for your children, that's like the seed that you should start with. If you weren't able to do it before you had them, fine. But from the moment they breathe their first breath and you get gifted money for your children, that's like the first seed.
Yeah.
Consistency. I keep saying consistency. It makes all the difference. Little. Time is your best friend with savings and investments. So for a child that you want to plan for, start from the day they're born. It makes all the difference. You would save effortlessly, less stress, and all you need is just a little. And as your income grows, then you can also grow that. It just makes it easier than having to look for a lump sum or a large sum of money at a later date to do something for them. So I think I've given you two, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So, thirdly, with your children, I think you have to teach them values about money. Like I said, you mirror it, but then again, you need to make them understand that we strive for barakah
Yes.
because you can have a lot of it. If Allah's barakah is missing from it, then it really won't do much. But little with barakah goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I think you need to make them understand that as Muslims, like I said earlier, we're held to a higher standard when it comes to money. So money, you can even see money as an amana. When Allah gives you wealth, it's not just for you alone. So they have to give. So there are many ways to do that. Work off and all whatnot. Because unfortunately, I have come to realize that you could find a parent leave this world, leave so much for their children in inheritance. Maybe let's say they even have 5 kids, and not one child would think of doing something
Yeah.
in memory of their parents, so that's it's sadaqah tijariya for their parents and all. So I think you really need to mirror that. Just teach your children that money is
Yeah.
a tool for good or a tool for evil. So, but they should strive for barakah. So I think values.
Oh, I love that. you went from modeling to being consistent and then instilling him these values. So that's absolutely beautiful. How do you see it with your children, for example, like just in their personality? Because some people are more of savers, others are naturally spenders. Even though they have the piggy banks and all that, do you see a difference in one being more excited to save versus the other one being more excited to spend, or are they all similar in a way? In that?
Well, each child has his or her own like characteristics, peculiarities, and all.
Yeah.
But generally, my son is, I think, kind of entrepreneurial. He's always saying he wants to publish his book. He wants to earn money.
So cute.
He's very good with graphics and all. So he's always looking for clients so that he can design for them so that they can pay him. So I think he's a bit more like me because for me, I think I started making money from as young as probably 7. Like whenever I have money, I'm always thinking of how to double that money, how to make it grow. So that has been me. So I do have a 9 to 5, but I also have a business. So I think my son kind of like he's at that point whereby he wants to grow his money. And then my second child, she hasn't really shown me entrepreneurial skills at all. So yeah, but the third one, that one is a spender. I have to pray very strongly for that one. So you would notice each child is different to a certain extent. So I try as much as possible to teach them that spending isn't really the problem, but what are you spending the money on? And then as you're spending, do you have that also saved? Or you're taking all that you have and spending with nothing left to fall back on? No. So
Yeah. Oh, incredible. I know we're almost at time here, so I'll wrap up with a few questions.
okay.
How would you tell parents who, for example, let's say they find it very difficult? I've seen this with parents find it very difficult to say no to a child sometimes when they ask for something. How can they battle? How can they go about that, especially if they're in a place where they cannot afford it? Like they don't have the means to do it, but their child wants to do X, Y, and Z that's going to cost them money that they don't have. How can they overcome that urge?
Well, I think with that, that's a bit tricky because if you're putting yourself constantly in a position whereby you cannot afford something, so you have to go into debt to get it done. You're not doing yourself any. In fact, how do you even sleep at night? Because I would really want to know that, knowing that you owe so much. So as parents, I know we always strive to provide like the best for our children, or in instances whereby there are certain opportunities that you didn't have, and you're trying to create such for your children. I can understand doing that. But then again, it depends on how important that is. For instance, some children are very gifted or talented, and then their dream requires you. So, like I said, it depends on what we're talking about. If it's a dream of your child, something that you know is going to be impactful in their lives, and you're going the extra mile, we all come, there always comes a time in our lives whereby we have to inconvenience ourselves to get certain things done because we're looking at the end goal, right? So if that is the situation you find yourself in, then maybe that's excusable or that's understandable because it would benefit your child. But if it's something that is of no benefit to your child, but because maybe you as a parent now you're under pressure, I don't want to call it peer pressure, but then are you trying to keep up with the Joneses just because you want to? So I think that is very important. Why are you going out of your way for your child over something that you know you cannot afford at that time? If it's something that is essential to your child's well-being and performance, then that's fine. But if you know it is not, then you have to find a way to tell your child to probably exercise a bit of patience. If it means you're going to look for an extra job to get the money so that you're not in debt, fine. Find ways to get it done, but not putting yourself under financial pressure because it would affect your health and your child needs you to be healthy to be there for them. Yeah. So it depends on what it is. Because I wouldn't say no outrightly because certain dreams cost money.
Yeah.
So if you have a child and maybe plays football or so, I'm sure academies don't come cheap. Or your child needs coaching for something that they're really good at, and you know your child has that potential and they need that push. You may need to do everything that you can as a parent to make it happen. But if it's none of that, then no is you just have to be creative with the way you say no. Or look for an alternative, something that wouldn't cost you much to do for the child. Yeah.
I love that you, one, distinguish why you're saying no and making sure it's actually something that is not a, not that it's not a need, but it's not something that you're cheaping out on, basically, and you're making the investment when it's worthwhile. So we'll wrap up with this question here. Earlier, you talked about the importance of consistency and starting early with investing. Now, of course, your name is Halal Investing Mom. Speak to the person who is they're so excited about investing. They've heard it in different places, but they're scared and they don't want to do it because I don't have enough money or I don't have this large sum that they think they might need. Speak to that person about why it's important to not just start with a little, but to start now.
Okay. First of all, for anybody or any person that feels they're scared, would you want your child to be in the situation you're presently in now? Definitely not. So if you need to do something about it, and the way to get that done is by saving and investing, right? Because if you're not feeling good about yourself now, as far as your finances are concerned, then trust me, a few years or a couple of years down the line, you do not want your child to feel that. So what do? You need to get up and smell the coffee, because the truth is you cannot save your way through wealth. You have to invest your money. I am yet to meet anybody that created wealth through savings. I don't, maybe in the US you people have them, but I haven't heard of them.
I haven't seen them either.
Thank you. So even people that started from the bottom, it was because they kept investing in their business over and over again. They started with little, kept putting back into the business, and they are where they are today. So true wealth is created through consistent investing. It's a no-brainer. In your own society, debt is something that is very serious.
Yes.
People go to school on debt, finance their cars, their houses, everything. Some could probably say it has its ups, but then I know it has a lot of downsides, because now there's so many people that are teaching people to think otherwise, reorienting people about it. I heard even in high schools, they're like making people take personal finance classes and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's something that as long as you exist, you need to. And also in life, there's nothing that doesn't have risk. So if you feel because you feel you're going to lose, or you feel you don't have anything, he who does little is better than he who does nothing. Because little builds up, it adds up and becomes much.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So I don't think you're doing yourself a great disservice if you feel you don't have enough. Can you really have enough? Even the rich people are always looking for money. Like, they're not resting on their oars. They're out there every day looking for money. And they're like, why don't you have enough? Just retire. Just no, but they're still there creating wealth for themselves. And also, you have life. You brought life to this earth. Allah has given you an amana of children and all. Some of the social vices out there exist because of parents that have been unable to provide for their children.
Yeah.
So if you do not want to be part of that statistics, then you need to get creative. If you can give your child the gift of college free, you have done everything for them in life, because you've given them a push.
Yes.
You've given them a level playing ground with others who are coming from privilege. In fact, you have given your children privilege. The privilege you talk about, white privilege, whatever, as a Black person, if you are able to give your children college free, you have given them privilege. They are privileged children. It makes all the difference. So even if you do not want to do it for yourself, I think you should consider. And another thing is, with halal investing, I have come to realize that whatever you do for Allah's sake, or whatever you leave because Allah said you should leave it. Like now you left conventional, even though probably it's promising you more returns and you're doing halal. You will not make a loss.
Yeah.
Since the time I went halal, like strictly Sharia compliant, I haven't made a loss. Some investments may not bring me as much as in those days that it was conventional, but alhamdulillah, my capital is secure and I will still make money. So it's the same thing. If you've chosen to go halal and you're investing, Allah's barakah is all you need. It makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So please don't do yourself any disservice. Try your best to make your money work for you. You've worked really hard for this money. It's now the money's turn to go out and also work and return. So your money is just like you have your mini soldiers and you send them to war to go and conquer and, get you victory. So I can't overemphasize the importance of investing. So I am more of an investor than a saver. So maybe you don't really hear me talk about savings a lot.
So very well said. I love how you put that there. And where can people find you, Maimuna? I know you have this halal investing course. You just came from that actually. So
Yeah, so
where
actually,
can they find you?
Okay, this year I gave myself a challenge that I was gonna host my my mini course at least 10 times this year. So I think I've done 5 so far. Four this year. No, 4 this year. The first time I had that class was last year. So I've had 4 this year and I still have 6 to go. Ya Allah. I hope I'm able to see it through. So, but I do take one-on-one students, so I do one-on-one coaching. And also you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Thread. It's the same handle, Halal Investing Mom. And I am based in Nigeria. So, but I actually have clients all over, but mostly Nigerians because we're everywhere. They're everywhere. So I have clients in the US, I have in Canada, I have in the UK, and then in Nigeria. Yes. So we invest here, and we also invest in the US stock market mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. So if you need to learn if you're taking this knowledge, you're like, I need to get started, as you should, follow Halal Investing Mom. She has an amazing course that she's going to show you how to do it. Please do that. Thank you for your time, Maimuna. I know it's late there. So
Thank you for having me.
But yeah, thank you for sharing all these amazing nuggets. And yeah, thank you for tuning in for week 10 of the If I Were You show. I'm your host, Fatimah. If you want one-on-one financial coaching, feel free to go to our website, Finance Girly, that's girly with an IE.com/coaching for a free one-on-one consultation. Let's see how it can help. And if you want to learn how to manage your money, get better at budgeting, saving, and investing, go to financegirly.com/course. And I'll catch you on that side. Until then, have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.